to your Key Stage 4 options at Ringwood School in PE. The courses that I'm about to talk you through are suited to anyone with a passion for sport, who's considering a career in sport, or who has enjoyed and fully embraced all of the opportunities that you've been given in PE in Year 7, 8 and 9. In Year 10 and Year 11, you have multiple choices of how you would like to study physical education. So option number 1 is you choose to study PE at GCSE and you have your core PE lessons alongside those. Option number 2 is you choose to study sports studies in Key Stage 4 and you take your core PE alongside it. You might choose to study GCSE or sports studies in your option block and also take performing arts in your core PE lessons. Or you might not choose to take a qualification in PE at all, and in which case you will just study core PE. Core PE is the PE that you're used to that has no exam at the end of it, but aims to achieve lifelong participation in sport and physical activity. We offer a range of courses at Ringwood School at Key Stage 4 in PE because we want to ensure that we provide every student in our school with an opportunity to study and develop their understanding of sport and physical activity on a course that best suits their individual need. I'll explain the difference between the two courses throughout this presentation. However, the two courses that you can take in examined PE, so not core PE, are the AQA Gcse Pe and the OCR Sports Studies. Both courses are equivalent to one GCSE and are looked upon in equal measure by sixth form colleges and colleges. The course that you may be most familiar with is the Gcse PE. And at Ringwood School we follow the AQA specification. I will tell you a little bit more about that course now. The course is 70% theory and 30% practical, and it is assessed using a combination of video evidence that you produce of yourself as a performer and 2 written exams that you take at the end of Year 11. The course is well suited to individuals who enjoy and achieve well in science and biology and those who train and compete in sports outside of school on a regular basis. The course is entirely classroom based, and to give you an idea of what you will be studying, I will show you what the theory will look like. So here it is. To give you some idea, you can see here there is an emphasis on anatomy and physiology, structure and function of the heart, mechanics of breathing, the skeleton, types of joints, biomechanics, arousal, aggression, and training. It also looks at other aspects of sport and physical activity, which I'll cover in a little bit more detail in the next 2 slides. So, Year 10. In Year 10, we look at everything from the components of fitness, principles of training, and training thresholds to muscles and joints, joint actions, mechanics of breathing, the cardiac cycle, mechanical advantage, and planes of movement. We also try to build in lots of exam techniques so that you're familiar with how to answer exam questions, which will be useful as you move into your exam in Year 11. In Year 11, we consider the social cultural influences on sport, including information processing, motivation, the impact on the media and technology, drugs in sport, diet and healthy lifestyles. The course leads on quite nicely to our A-level PE, which is offered in 6th form. You may be wondering which sports you can be assessed in, and as I mentioned earlier, 30% of your final grade comes from the practical performance of sport yourself. You have to give evidence of yourself performing in 3 sports. Now those sports can be 2 team sports and 1 individual, or 1 team sport and 2 individuals, but they have to be on the list that you can see in front of you now. To achieve well at Gcse Pe, it's recommended that you're a high club level performer or a county level performer, and you must be taking part in at least one of those sports on the list outside of school. The second option for exam PE in Year 10 and 11 is the Cambridge National Level 1 and Level 2 Diploma in Sports Studies. This course is really well suited to individuals with a passion for sport who are considering a career in the sports industry or hope to work in health and fitness when they're older. It leads on to our Cambridge Technical Sport and Physical Activity course in the 6th form. The Sports Studies course is made up of 3 units over 2 years. each assessed in a slightly different way and awarded different weightings, which when combined forms your final grade for OCR Sports Studies. We study the 2 compulsory units, which are contemporary issues in sport, which is worth 40% and assessed in an exam at the end of year 11, and the practical sports performance unit, which is also worth 40%, and that's assessed through coursework, through practical sports performance, and by watching you as a leader in sport. Finally, we study the media in sport unit, which is an optional unit, and that's worth the final 20% of your grade. This might look a little bit different to the courses that you might be familiar with if you've got an older sibling or you've got a friend in an older year. And the reason for that is that the specification that you will be following has been released for the first teaching in September 2022. Therefore, it is not the same course that the current Year 10s and Year 11s are studying. In essence, over your 2 years, we will concentrate on your practical sports performance in the R185 Performance and Leadership unit. We will then move on to media in sport in year 10, and then in year 11 we will start to focus on the contemporary issues in sport unit, which you will take and examine at the end of year 11. Practical sports performance in OCR requires you to perform in 2 sports. They can be team or individual, or a team and an individual. Plan to develop your own performance in sport and develop your leadership skills and understanding. It's assessed practically with your teacher observing you through coursework and with any evidence that you provide us with of your performance in sport outside of school. The sports that you can be assessed in are the same as GCSE, but there's no requirement for you to be at such a high level of performance. It would be beneficial if you were involved in sport outside of school or in school clubs. However, we don't require you to be at the higher end level of that club or the county performer. It's also worth noting that this is 2 sports and not 3 sports that you would need for GCSE. Another difference to the GCSE is that in the OCR Sports Studies course, we spend time developing you as a leader. So you get the chance to develop your leadership skills, plan sessions, make risk assessments, and evaluate your own performance as a sports leader. And that forms another part of your practical assessment. The media in sport unit focuses on how sport is covered in the media, what the positive effects of media are on the sport, and what the negative effects of media are on sport. And this is entirely coursework based as a unit, and so it's completed in a classroom. Finally, the contemporary issues in sport unit is assessed in a 75-minute exam, which is taken at the end of year 11, and it focuses on issues surrounding participation in sport, initiatives to get people involved in sport, major sporting events like the Olympics, drugs in sport, and the use of technology in modern sport. Sports Studies is a vocational qualification to support and develop those looking for a career in sport in their futures. This brings me back to our PE department vision statement. Our overriding aim in PE is to achieve lifelong participation and enjoyment in sport for all of our young people. This in part we hope to achieve through the exam-based options that we offer at Key Stage 4. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with this final thought process to the right of the screen, which we hope you will find useful when trying to decide which course is the best fit for you. As always though, if you're stuck, if you are unsure, hopefully you recognise some of the smiling faces at the bottom of the screen here. They're your PE teachers, and they are always on hand to answer questions, provide support, or help to guide you through your options process. We know this is a really tough time for some of you, it's a really important time for you, and we want to be there to help you make the right decision for you as you move into year 10. Hopefully we'll see a lot of you in year 10 on one of our examined PE options.